Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to this episode of Endurance Executive. I want to say special thank you to everyone who watched my last video, which was on how to enhance your marathon performance. Thank you for the positive comments and feedback. So today's video really is going to focus on how to engage your mind in a long distance race. So one of the feedback I got from the last video was, pretty much, running for 3 hours, 4 hours sounds like a lot. So how do you engage your mind really? And so kind of like been unpacking some of the things that has worked for me over the years, and I hopefully find it helpful. So as I've always said, right, obviously running a marathon, it's more of your mind. So let's assume, you've sorted that out. You know that yes, you're going to be running for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, okay. And so one thing I found really helpful is obviously breaking, let's assume you're going to run for 4 hours, for instance. So breaking that into maybe 30-minute slots, and so obviously that will really help. The key thing really is right is how do you program your mind to remove your mind from thinking about the discomfort, particularly towards the second half of that race. Okay, so obviously if you've broken your race down into 30 minutes, just 30 minutes, then that will help. So as you go 30 minutes, then you know that countdown, really helps, and to kind of like to segment your race. That helps. Okay, and then next, right, is more finding things to distract you. Typically, right, a lot of runners find it challenging in the first few minutes of the race, but that's okay. Most runners encounter that, so it's important that but then you settle into the race and start cruising. Okay, so some people, first 2K, 3K. So obviously if that is done, then you find a way to start cruising. Okay, and then so it's looking for something that you can focus on during that race. It could be listening to a podcast. Okay, and then some people say obviously try and refresh that podcast. Okay, so that it becomes less monotonous. Okay, but so just more putting your mind on that podcast and trying to listen to that podcast. And then other things that you can do while running is perhaps in marathons, for instance, I kind of like body up, certain points of the race, so just running with people and then just refresh and running, joining different groups. So let's assume you're not running with the pacer. Okay, so that really helps. Okay, and then other things that you can do as well. Other things you can do as well is obviously if you're running a marathon, for instance, obviously the thinking that you have 26 miles to go at the beginning is not really helpful. Okay, so you need to make sure that you focus it on one step at a time. So be as we talk about breaking your race down into 30 minutes, but then also in addition to that, you can break your race down into lots of 5Ks. Okay, so then you're focusing on that 5K. So finishing that 5K, focus on another 5K, focus on another 5K. Okay, and then at one point, then obviously with everything, right, there is an end, right, and so start encouraging yourself to say yes, and there is a greater glory to come, and but then not focus so much on the discomfort that you have at that particular point in time. Okay, so it's just more, a K at a time, 1K at a time, 5K at a time, like that, and then that will make a difference for you. Then obviously another thing that I would encourage as well is maybe perhaps if you're not running with a podcast or with music, really I think just observe the environment, right? So just enjoy nature and just enjoy. I think it's important as well that running, you don't see running as a chore, but it's an experience. It's something that has to be enjoyed. So when you're running, just trying to enjoy nature, remove your mind. It's important, remove your mind from the discomfort and just trying to enjoy. Look at cars, look at the people, look at the crowd. Try and pick up something that will keep you fascinated, and just take you away from, from the battle. Okay, so that would really help. This is just a few tips, right, on what I do and what I've seen other runners do as well to make a difference and to make the long runs more bearable. But of course, by all means, do what works for you, really. And more importantly, we know that running long distance is not more about the physical ability, but also mental. Okay, so it's more, mind, how you build your mind. I talk about this a lot, but actually, been a long distance runner, more of the battle is the battle of the mind. Okay, and so it's more how do you take your mind away from the discomfort. Okay, how, and there are a lot of tools that you can use to do that. So hope you find this helpful. Like it, share it, subscribe, and see you again in the next video.